Hello everybody, I'm Gavin and I'm the British bookworm. So here in England, or here in Britain today, we're having a heat wave, and apparently it's all down to climate change and man-made CO2. Who am I to question that? But at the moment we're in a massive heat wave and I have the fan on, so that's the noise in the background. So today I'm going to review a book that I would say that every personal trainer who is serious about being a fantastic or good personal trainer should read, study, and get a full grip of by remembering the principles, the techniques and lessons within. From time to time you will get people in the fitness industry who stand out by a long way by the way they represent themselves, and put even someone who, like myself, and I mean that in the general term, even someone like myself who's tried extremely hard to be a good personal trainer and successful personal trainer, they put even the likes of me who's dedicated my life to it to shame, because they have skills and assets and methods that are perhaps natural, I don't know, but they're very, very good. And even people who've dedicated their lives to fitness, like myself, can't do the work that they do. They're just better than us, or better than me. So putting that aside, I still believe that humbly I can put a very good opinion across as someone who has, by all intents and purposes, dedicated a large percentage of his life to studying the fields of fitness and psychology, sports science, nutrition, etc, etc, etc. But that doesn't mean that I'm like perfect. But as I've already said, this guy is a cut above the rest. He has a channel, I think, called the Squat University, and he is Dr Aaron I don't know how to say his last name, like some of the other videos I've done. Dr Aaron Horschig. So the book is called The Squat Bible. Now this little gem I must have read at least 3 times, 4 times, I can't remember, but it is one of the best books possibly in the fitness industry. And you're going to hear me say that on a lot of books, so you're going to be like, well, why is that better than that? But in the context of the subject, this is possibly the most important book you can buy. And if you're going to the gym and you're serious about your training, and you're a serious trainer, you go 5 times a week, this is the kind of book that you should have on your bookshelf if you do read, or if you have time. It's also the kind of book you can just sort of buy and just scan through and learn a lot from. Now, why is it so good? Well, first of all, it talks about purely the squat. Now, the squat is a very hard movement to get right and do. I have seen a large sample of experienced fitness professionals who can't squat properly. I have seen people who do 8 to 20 classes, teaching 8 to 20 classes a week, who can't squat properly, who don't understand the basis of squats past a certain basic weight, where technique is instrument to not getting injured, for example. So when you get trainers who do not understand the concepts of proper squatting because they haven't been taught properly, or they haven't done enough studying on it, those trainers are people you must really question, because the squat is the most fundamental movement in the fitness world. If you don't squat correctly, then you're probably going to struggle elsewhere. I'm not going to say you are going to be poor elsewhere, on other techniques, but you are very likely to be poor on other techniques because the fact that you don't research a foundation movement, but say you're really good at bench pressing. Like a lot of guys, they get good at bench pressing, but their squats are nothing to show off for. So this illustrates the ways of getting a really good squat. It shows techniques, sort of key kind of moves, techniques and principles on how to get a really good squat and work on it. Now, the way it's laid out is fantastic. It is written in a way that describes the basic and utterly foundation concepts that it's incredible to know that a lot of personal trainers in the fitness industry do not know. And there are cases where you get social media trainers who are really, really good, and Aaron is one of those. The Squat Bible, the ultimate guide to mastering the squat and finding your true strength. It is worth spending 6 months just mastering the squat. That's how important it is. If you go to the gym and you just spend a couple of sessions a week, say, just purely working and focusing on developing your squat to a really strong degree, that is such an important movement. So that's why a book that's dedicated to it is so important for a personal trainer's education, for a fitness goer's education. So the reason why this is not just your normal type of book on this subject is, first of all, I don't think there are too many, or I'm not sure when I'm saying this, but I don't believe there are too many books just dedicated to just one exercise, that is the squat. I might be wrong, but I don't think there is. Secondly, it gives you really nice methods to help you improve and work towards really getting a deep squat. It talks about fallacies to do with squatting, which I won't go into here, because otherwise it's just going to be me dictating to you rather than you going out and doing your own research. But it explains some key thinking about squatting and corrects them ultimately through science, through sports science, and through what we know through different samples of research, put it that way. The techniques based on kind of like physio, stability, balance, movement flexibility, functional flexibility, coordination of all the muscle groups in the body. So it really encompasses the whole picture. So I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5 because it's easy to read. It really hits the point. It's the most important exercise movement you can learn and master as a fitness gym goer. The number of fitness instructors and personal trainers who cannot even do a proper basic squat is actually quite shocking. I'm not talking about personal trainers that are out of training or have had injuries like myself, but I'm talking about trainers who have never really tried to learn the concepts of proper exercise movement, which is something I take pride in, that I've studied intensely over my career. So this is really, really significant. Now, tell you a story. Having said that, I hope you as a viewer will see that if I'm prepared to read a book like this 3 to 5 times, I am very serious about my subject and learning and my ability to convey what I learn over to a customer or a client. Now, the fitness industry is such that everybody is an expert. You get people that go to the gym and they think that because they learn through YouTube videos that makes them more of an expert than someone who's teaching it all day long. There was one day I was working with a girl in a gym and I was showing her how to squat, but because she wasn't understanding or she was making a fundamental mistake. She was making several. So rather than challenge her on all of them, which you just wouldn't do because it's not correct and decent teaching, I was correcting the small things first before I corrected larger things. So in doing that, I was getting this girl's confidence up to increase her ability to squat deeper, to keep her forms nice, following the concepts of this book and many other reads that I've read or studied and my own experience. And in the process of doing this, I can't remember how it happened, but I had a customer from the gym approach my client and tell me that I wasn't doing my job properly. So you get this kind of nonsense in the fitness industry from trainers and from customers who think that they know better than someone like myself who's dedicated his entire life to it. And you have to be professional and deal with it with humility and try and not get angry because the person's intruding your training session with this customer. He was, by the way, getting a free PT session where I was working, and they were telling me that I wasn't doing my job properly because I wasn't correcting this person, because they were seeing a mistake that they were making where I was complimenting them, saying it was good what they were doing, but he didn't realise that I was building up that person's confidence before correcting another thing and then another thing. You work on one thing, you do 6 reps on one thing, try and make the person realise the fault that they're making by explaining to them verbally or pointing at them through the mirror when they're looking at themselves doing the squat. And then after 6 reps or 12 reps, they've worked on that, they racked the barbell, and then you say, right, maybe we could improve this now. You've got that point. Maybe, for example, the shoulders were too high, there was too much tension, the chest wasn't lifted up, it could be different things, they were looking down too much, the feet weren't positioned correctly, etc, etc, etc. But this customer had the cheek and audacity to come into between a session with me and tell the client that I wasn't doing my job correctly. But that's the kind of people that you have to deal with in the fitness industry. And I'm sure it's the same everywhere. I mean, I experienced this on quite a few occasions, and I know that what I'm teaching is not only sound, but I'm an expert at what I'm teaching, and I do my teaching in a really, really good way. But you have to deal with these kind of prats and deal with it. Now, the reason why that's important is because, or relevant to this fantastic book, is the people that don't do the study think that they are expert enough to interrupt someone who is an expert teaching a client in a certain way, which was to build the person's confidence up and not just say it's all shit, you're doing it wrong, you do it like this, expecting a client who clearly is struggling to pick up 2 or 3 elements of the basics without going into a major movement change, for example. And that person, that other client correcting me as a trainer, didn't realise there's subtleties in being a good personal trainer. There's subtleties in being a good class instructor. And that's the kind of thing that you'll come across if you are going into the fitness industry, no matter how good you are. And I'll give you another example. Scott Herman is a YouTuber. He is a fantastic YouTuber, and one that I respect massively, and I think he has not only made a brilliant YouTube channel, but his mannerisms, his personality, his conduct, his movements, his actual body is fantastic, and he's just top A1 class. Now, as one of my own friends and training buddies says, he himself, if you read his comments, occasionally gets people like trolling him, saying he's not squatting right or he's doing the movements wrong, and it leaves you baffled, and you just think, what the fuck? You are actually correcting someone who's been on YouTube for like 10 years, who's dedicated their lives every single day to training and putting instructional videos online weekly, and you're coming on and you're writing a stupid comment correcting somebody who's on YouTube, and you're correcting them saying that they're doing it wrong. So people at that level and my level get criticisms by people who possibly know nothing, You know, just by the fact that they've done a little bit of training, maybe. That's the way that seems massively prevalent in the fitness industry. We've got a lot of egos in the fitness industry, whether it's other personal trainers or people walking into the gym, and people who somewhat get somewhere with their training automatically think that they're expert. It's baffling. But this book goes into, going back to the book, it goes into what you need to know to become an excellent fitness instructor in teaching squats. So if you learn the content in this book very much to memory, when you teach a client, you will be really successful at getting across proper tuition on how to improve someone's squat or your own. This is something that I want to work on now at the moment. Someone who's been out of action and not been able to properly heavily squat for many years with my knee injury that I've had for a long time. I'm going back to basics, and like anything, if you don't practice things, you cannot expect to go back to being a master at them. For most people, not for everybody. So, would I recommend the Squat Bible, the ultimate guide to mastering the squat and finding your true strength? Abso-fucking-lutely. I would recommend Aaron to anybody out there. And his book, I'm sure he's got more than this. I don't follow all these people like closely. I follow too many people already online, so I can't watch or follow everybody. But I'm pretty sure he has a channel called The Squat University, and I'm pretty sure he'll have possibly other books out there now by this point of recording. So thank you for watching. What are your thoughts on what I've said? If you're an experienced trainer like myself, have you ever experienced an embarrassing situation like I've just stated? Do you spend time studying, or do you just hope that you can teach things without the language, the correct terminology, or do you feel adept enough to teach it without actually studying? Because one of the things that I find is that as a fellow personal trainer, by studying exercises relentlessly for years and reading books of the same exercise over and over again, it gives you it gives you a framework and certain languages that are suitable for different people on how to explain how to do a said exercise. But maybe I overthink things, maybe not, I don't know. So go on by this, check him out, The Squat University, and let me know if you've read it. If you've read it, let me know how you felt about it. Was it a good book for you? I thought this was one of the best out in the fitness industry market. And that's it. So I'm going to leave this video today. I'm going to put this online and let's start a conversation down below. See you later, everybody.